Welcome to EnigmaCast, nerds. And as luck or grace or God would have it, a diamond in the rough or a polished gem, depending on how you view his channel, has fallen in my lap. And I came across a very well put together podcast with a very cool name. We were just talking about it. And with the host right here to my side, Dano Hamilton, host of the Cryptid Podcast, is going to be joining us tonight. Dano, thank you for coming on to the channel.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So Dano's channel is amazing, everybody. He gets into all the things that we like to get into over here. Cryptids, a little bit of paranormal, a little bit of UFO, and he's agreed to come on to the show tonight and go into a little bit of detail about those experiences that he's gone into. Before we get into that though, Dano, please tell my listeners everything about you that you wanted to know, buddy.
Well, hey, again, thanks for having me on, Joseph. I appreciate it. I started this channel a year ago, this coming up October, and I started the Cryptid Podcast kind of for a selfish reason. I needed validation on what I encountered when I was younger. I had a sighting when I was 12. Then I believe I had another sighting when I was about 19. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. Then I found another well-known podcast that's huge, and I reached out to that person, and they had me on their show, and it just kind of started a snowball effect. And then and then I'm here, man. So I started it in October of 2024. Posted my first episode, episode 1, in November, and I've been grinding, as you guys can say. If you're a nerd, man, like I am,
yeah.
You play certain video games, you got to grind things out, and that's what I'm doing here, man. I'm having a good time. I enjoy doing it. I work around my family and my regular 9 to 5. So if I have any spare time, I'm doing this. So yeah.
No, Dano, your channel is really good. Also, I get people that reach out that want to come on to my show, and sometimes I reach out to people that I want to come on to my show, and I try to diversify the guests that come on. And Enigmites, you should really go over there and consider giving his channel a look, because he has a very unique, I would say, podcasting style. Dano, normally what I do when I book a guest, I don't watch any of their content for like 2 weeks, because I don't want to inadvertently dominate the conversation. But the 2 videos that you've recently posted that have attracted my eye is about a reptilian manifestation, and I think they're one. And I checked out one of your most popular videos over there was about a Bigfoot encounter that's took place when a guy was hiking. And so I haven't watched them yet, but I've got them on a skiing trip. He's on a skiing trip somewhere, and I said they're in my watch queue. But you have a very unique style when you do your interviews. And I said a lot of people do podcasts, man, and I've noticed that when you're in the podcast game, you see a lot of people try to copy other people's styles, right? They'll try to go into it. But the ones that I enjoy the most are the ones that are people just being themselves and, getting into it and having good conversations, man. And your channel actually brings that to me. So again, Enigmites, Dano, real quick, it'll all be in the comment section of the description of this video, but give everybody a quick shout out, man, where they can find your content.
You guys can find all the video content on YouTube. It's under the Cryptid Podcast, and I'm also on Spotify. And so yeah, you can find if you're driving, you can't watch, and you don't really want to listen, then you can listen to YouTube. Then you can go over to Spotify, same name, the Cryptid Podcast, and check that over there on Spotify. I'm working on trying to get on Apple Podcast and iHeartRadio Podcast as well. And my buddy Josh Smith, who is the host of Mysteries Unknown. Him and I, we're really close friends. I mean, I never would have thought that this whole subject matter would have brought 2 people together and become such good friends. Yeah. And I was a regular co-host when he used to do a Thursday night live stream. Mm-hmm. And life got in the way and working and all this type of stuff, so he no longer does that. But he still drops new episodes every Monday, and we are now launching our own website. It's called. Can I plug it or?
Yeah, for sure,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's Mysteries and Cryptids. So it's www.mysteriesandcryptids.com. And, we're going to go on there. We're going to have a Mysteries and Cryptid podcast eventually. That'll be a membership exclusive. And then there's links going to his show, to my show from that website. Members will be able to join. We'll have like a blog on there. We'll have merch on there. And then a way for people to reach out to us if they've had an encounter and stuff. I mean, it's just his channel's doing great. He's been doing this about 2 years, but with me, I'm, like I said, almost a year. I'm at about 4,700 subs.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love doing this, man. I just like connecting with the community.
Yeah.
I really do. And I thank you for pointing out my style that I do this, because I'm trying to go for a style where it's just like two people sitting down and just having a chat, having a talk, shooting the crap. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I'm not polished. As you can see in my background around here, this office did look pretty nice at one time, but then, our son was supposed to move back in with us with his fiance and their daughter. That never materialized. So everything that was in that spare bedroom is now in my office for a short time. But yeah, I just like it's raw. I don't edit.
Yeah.
If I do, it's very, very few things that I'll edit. But I just want people to understand that this is who I am.
Correct.
I'm not going to put on any phony facade from you. I'm not going to candy coat anything. I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, that's pretty much the way it is.
Well, Dano, you came to the right place, because not polished is what we do around here. So look, man, let's get right into that, man, because you got some good stories here. I'd like to open up here and for you to dig into that cryptid encounter you had back in the day.
Sure. Well, like I briefly mentioned, my sighting happened in 1984. I was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. Now, I had 2 prior encounters that I now realize were actually encounters because of all the investigation and all the stories I've heard and videos I've watched and reports that I've read. I'm like, okay, that happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. And what else could it be? It couldn't be anything other than a Sasquatch.
Okay.
I was lucky enough that my dad was with me on my first, second, and my sighting. I was in the military on my 4th encounter, and then my little brother was with me on my second, my sighting, and then on my last encounter.
Okay.
My little brother passed away in 2016. My dad passed away in 2014, and I wish they could see this going on. I wish I could have them on so they can validate everything, Mm-hmm. So my sighting, if that's what you want me to talk about, or do you want me to talk about? Okay.
Yeah, let's break it down, man.
Yeah, so I was in Graham, Washington. My brother and I, we had just moved back with my dad. My dad was newly single. I think it was between his 3rd wife and his 4th wife.
All right, that's my kind of guy right
there. and so, again, he got taken to the cleaners every time, and so he was living in a 5th wheel. And people don't know what a 5th wheel is. It's a camper with a loft on it. People tow behind their trucks. And so he had that parked in an adult, like a retirement RV park. And my dad didn't want us growing up there, So while we were hanging out in Tacoma with my aunt and my uncle, he had bought some land, about 5 acres of land, almost 100% woods, except for a little clearing where they had cleared and had laid out all the groundwork for the house that he wanted to build there. He'd already moved the camper on this land, built a deck, built a little shed. And when we were coming home, when he was taking us home, he just drove by it. And he's like, I have something to show you guys. And so he drove, probably 4 or 5 miles down the road and made a right, went down this long road, turned off on a gravel road. The gravel road just kind of dipped down off of the main road, kind of straightened out a little bit, then had like a little rise. It came up, leveled out, then it dipped down again. It did that like 3 times before it hit our property. We pull in and there's our camper, or the 5th wheel. And he goes, let's go for a walk. I'll show you. Because we were like, holy, what's going on? Well, we're living out here in the middle of the woods,
Right.
you know, and we walked the property. It's 5 acres of land. You guys can do whatever you want to do. Oh, can we build a fort? Oh, yeah, you build a fort. You build a tree fort. You can do whatever you want to do. Just don't burn down the forest, you know?
Right. Okay.
And so, you know, over time, you know, we started doing stuff. We built a tree fort. And then I remember one night, it was probably right around springtime, we were having just one heck of a storm. You think of one of the worst storms you've ever heard of or you've ever seen. This was what was going on. Pounding rain, cracks of thunder, flashes of lightning, wind blowing super heavy. My dad had taken the fifth wheel, had anchored it down, had put actually cement blocks underneath it to give it a more firm foundation. And I was sleeping. If you're looking at the fifth wheel, my bed was on the right-hand side nearest the woods. My brother's bed was on the left-hand side nearest the huge deck that my dad had built. And on the back left corner of this deck, he put a giant pole, fastened it to this deck, and he put a platform up there because he was going to put a bird feeder up there. My dad was an avid bird watcher. A lot of people didn't know that, but I used to watch him look at birds, write stuff down in a book, you know, and then I looked at it one day. It was the type of bird, the time of day it was, the time of year it was, that type of stuff. Yeah, I mean, he I didn't know my dad was a nut like that, but he was. but anyway, so just when I get waken up by this loud clap of thunder, and so now I'm awake and I can see the flashes of lightning. And next thing you know, it feels like our camper goes like this, and comes down real heavy. Wow. And I'm like, well, I pull open this curtain, I look out this curtain, a flash of lightning hits, you know, it just brightens up the whole sky, and I see this giant thing walk under this tree and into the woods. And I'm like, Dad, it was a Bigfoot. And he's like, I woke him up and he's telling me to shut up. I'll wake up my little brother, all this type of stuff. Right. And he tell me I didn't see what I saw. And I'm like, yes, I did. And I did not sleep on my bed. There was a little space between my brother's mattress and my mattress. And I slept there. I did not want to be near that window. And next morning,
I'm not laughing at you. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm getting on the floor or under something. Yeah, I'm with you on
exactly. That. You know, next morning I got up and I go walking around. Now it had rained all night long, all night long. The area where this thing walked into, heavy pine needles on the floor, on the forest floor. So you're not going to see anything. Like it legit rained hard. Probably 3 or 4 hours. It just did not let up. My dad comes out and I'm like, Dad, it walked underneath this branch. He's like, listen, no, you didn't see what you think you saw. I go, Dad, I did. And I was getting mad at him because he was arguing with me. And so he gets a tape measure. He starts taping up to this branch. And he goes, tell me when to stop. And when you said you saw where it was at, I'm like, okay. And so I told him to stop, and he looked, and he's like, Daniel, there's no way. There's no way you saw something this big. I go, Dad, it did. I go, how tall is it? He's like, this is like over 8 feet tall. Oh, wow. Like probably close to 9 feet tall. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I saw it. I go, walk right through there. And you could kind of see where branches had been like broken, like in where it walked through. But again, I wasn't any expert on Bigfoot, what the tracks look like. Because remember, I didn't know what Bigfoot was until I was about 10 when I saw the Patterson-Gimlin film. Right. You know, and so I thought these things were just Northern California, maybe Oregon, but there's no way they moved all the way up here to Washington State. Right. But I never thought about it. So as I start walking back to the camper, I point to the camper and I go, Dad, then what did that? And there we had a huge dent on the side of the camper, huge dent. And he looked at it and he's like, holy S. And I go, look, I go, these anchor straps have been pulled out of the dirt. And I go, Dad, look at the cement blocks. Some of the cement blocks are broken. And he's like, don't tell your brother. Don't tell your brother. About that time, my little brother comes walking around the camper. He goes, don't tell me what. You know, he's 10 years old. And my dad goes, a branch hit the camper last night. And my brother goes, oh, that's what that noise was. And like, okay. And he walked back around in. And my dad just looked at me. He's like, don't say a word. So, you know, fast forward to like spring break time. We'd spent the entire week in Tacoma hanging out with my cousins and my aunt and uncle. And as you know, we were coming back. It was between 11 and midnight. And we had just come off of that main road. Now there was a street light right there where the cement or the cement road or concrete, asphalt, whatever you want to call it, met the gravel road. It's the only light around here. There was no other street lights. And so we came off of that road onto the gravel road. And when my dad's lights came down, I saw eye shine way up on this gravel road. Now, when I was a kid, I thought this gravel road was like 5 miles long.
Yeah.
In actuality, maybe 1.5 miles. Yeah. Maybe pushing 2 miles, but probably not. And I go, Dad, did you see that? There's something up there. There's something up there on the road. He's like, oh, it'll see us coming. It'll hear us coming. It'll leave. Now, my dad had a really super cool Mustang. I think it was like a 71, like Mach 1, something like that. It was a cool Mustang. And he had put some driving lights on it, and he angled them out so he could see the shoulders of both, you know, the sides of both sides of the road. Because we had deer and porcupine and so much other wildlife out there. The last thing he wanted to do was have one of these animals come out or him inadvertently just blast one with his car. Now he's damaged his Mustang, right?
Yeah, a deer will wreck your, will totally destroy a car. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And so we go up this rise, and I see the eye shine again. I'm like, Dad, I go, look at that eye shine. He goes, oh, it'll move. I go, Dad, turn your brights on. He goes, it'll move. It'll hear us come. It'll move. I go, Dad, turn your brights on. It's still there. And so we go back down this little dip, come back up on this rise. As we come up on this rise, my dad hits his brights and hits those driving lights, right? Lights the whole area up in front of us, and about 20 to 25 feet on my side of the car. I'm in the front seat of the passenger side. There it was.
Wow.
A female Sasquatch.
Wow.
She was kind of hunkered down a little bit. She stood straight up, and I didn't think she was going to stop standing up. Probably every inch of 7.5 feet.
Wow.
Probably 500, 600 pounds, maybe. The best way I can describe her body type was like Patty's, but not as robust as Patty was. Dark, grayish, charcoal-looking hair. Saw her hair underneath here because when my dad hit those lights and it blinded her pretty much, she turned like this and put her hand up in front of her face. I saw the palm of her hand. It was black. You could see some of this other part of her skin because her hair was not super thick. It wasn't super thick. You could see her breast. Hair was covering the breast, but not that much. Her abdomen, you could see that. Again, hairy, but not super thick hairy. Her face was pretty much free of hair, except for like it looked maybe coming down around her chin area, like on the bottom of her chin here, down like her neck, that part area. Pronounced brow ridge, a nose similar to ours, but bigger and wider. A pretty, not super thin, but a thinner upper lip than her bottom lip was. And then her head, was not as conical. This was seconds. This sighting took maybe 10 seconds, if that. And I slid down into the floorboard of the car. And I was absolutely terrified, but I was so excited at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And my dad never sped up. My dad never slowed down. He just kept a constant speed and just drove by like nothing happened. I figured we were already by where we had seen her. And so I peeked my head up and I looked out the passenger window and I could see her standing in the tree line. Now, the tree line was probably between 16 and 20 feet from the side of this road, this dirt road. I saw her almost clear as day.
Right.
But there was enough ambient light coming off of those driving lights that you could still see her. More from a shadow type. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
But enough to see her eyes blink.
That's awesome.
And
wow.
But this is really weird. When I saw it, the eye shine. Again, my dad said, "Oh, maybe it's a deer" at one time, and I'm like, "No, it's not a deer," because the eye shine wasn't like that yellowish, greenish, almost like greenish blue tint sometimes that you'll see eye shine with a deer.
Yeah.
This was like an amberish, almost reddish color. And then when I saw her as we drove by, they were like glassy black. So my dad, it wasn't too far, maybe 200 meters, if that, 200 feet, something like that. My dad pulled into our driveway. I had already had my key out of my pocket, and as my dad started slowing down in the driveway, I jumped out of the car. I jumped out of a moving car, ran up, jumped up all 4 steps of the deck, unlocked the car door. Unlocked the camper door and jumped into the camper.
Wow.
Seconds later, I hear my dad. I hear his door shut, and I hear him walking up the stairs, and he's carrying my little brother. You could have set a bomb off next to my little brother while he was sleeping. He'd never wake up. He would be 100% oblivious to what was going on. So my dad goes and puts him up in his bed, and there's like 4 little steps that went up to this little loft. Now, again, if anybody's been in a fifth wheel, you can't stand up there. So my dad kind of got up there and nudged him up on his bed. I'm sitting on my dad's bed, which is a queen size sofa sleeper. So it was pulled out. And I'm watching him go up to the cupboard. He's pulling out this different kinds of food, going to the refrigerator, pulling out stuff. And he takes it outside and he puts it on a table, goes down the steps, shuts the other door of his car, because I didn't shut the door. Opens up the shed, grabs a ladder, comes back up, puts this ladder up next to this pole, and takes all this food and puts it up on that platform. And then he comes back in the house, grabs a rag out from underneath the sink, and he had this tube in his back pocket. I later found out it was grease. And he squirted a bunch of grease in that rag, and he put it all over this pole. Now, I'm looking at him like, why is he putting that on the pole? And so I asked him, I go, "Dad, why are you putting that on the pole?" He's like, "Oh, that's so animals don't get it." And I go, "You mean like raccoons?" And he goes, "Yep, raccoons." Why did I come up with raccoons? I couldn't tell you.
Right.
But my dad agreeing with me kind of took me out of what had just happened and made me think, okay, grease in the pole, so now raccoons can't get that. Makes perfect sense to me, right? My dad was a smoker. He never smoked in the camper. So he's smoking a cigarette, had the door cracked open, and I hear, let me preface this. The entire life of my dad that I had the great opportunity being his son while he was alive, I never saw my dad go to church. I'd never heard my dad pray. And so I hear him talking. And so I'm kind of listening, and I don't remember exactly verbatim what he said, but it's something to the effect of, we saw you. We know you saw us. These are my children. These are my sons. We're a family. We want to stay here in peace. We don't mean you any disrespect. Please don't harm my sons. Please don't harm my boys. Don't scare them. We're not trying to be disrespectful. All of that up there is for you. And I'm listening. I'm like, who is he talking to? And I hear him put a cigarette out in the butt can. And I run and I jump back on his bed because I'm being nosy. And I go, "Dad, who are you talking to out there?" He goes, "Oh, I wasn't talking to anybody." I go, "You were talking to somebody." He's like, "No, I was praying." And I go, "Oh." I said, "Well, I didn't hear you say amen." And he kind of chuckled and he said, "Amen." And he got ready for bed, and he's like, buddy, do you want to sleep with me? I go, absolutely, I want to sleep with you. Yes,
Right, please.
yes. You don't have to ask me more than once. Yes, please. I accept. And so he's laying between me and the door, and I'm laying with my back up against the wall of the camper. Okay. And I want to say it was between, I remember it was one something. I can't remember the exact time, but I hear this incredibly loud, like creak, like this wood. How wood creaks when something really heavy gets put on top of it?
Mhm.
That's what I heard. And my eyes shot open, and I look over, my dad's awake, and he's going like this. Now I can see my dad because of the big alarm clock that he has. He had one of those big, 1970s alarm clocks, and it had like this glow to it. And so I could see my dad, and I remember it was like one something for some reason, 134, 137, something like that is in my mind. I don't know that to be the exact time. And he's going like this, telling me to be quiet, putting his finger up to his lips. And I'm like, what is it? And all of a sudden I hear another creak. I hear more than one walking on our deck. And about that time, I hear and feel something run right behind me. I have my back up against this wall. I can feel the vibration of these steps as it runs right by the wall. Then I hear it climb up over the railing and onto the deck. And my dad's telling me to do this, and he's kind of hugging me, kind of trying to reach over, trying to get me close to him, And then I'm going to do a very, very poor imitation of what I heard. But I heard something go like, something like that, some vocalization. And I know for a fact I almost lost it.
Yeah, I can imagine, bro.
I started crying, and I felt my dad grab a hold of me. I'm getting goosebumps, and I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it, but he tried to pull me in so close to protect me, And I just sat there and just watched that door, waiting for something to come through that door. I'm crying. I'm burying my face in my dad's t-shirt. I must have cried myself to sleep, because the next thing I remember is I see sun coming through the curtain that's covering the window on the door. Now, this window is like a bathroom window. That's the best way I can describe it. You cannot see out, nothing can see in, but light can pass through easily. My dad's sleeping. My little brother's still asleep. I jump up, open up the door, run across the deck, jump up on the railing, which I was not supposed to do. And I'm looking up. I'm trying to balance like a tightrope walker, and I'm watching and seeing if I can see anything up there on that platform. It's all gone.
Wow.
There's nothing up there that I can see. And so I jump down. My dad is now up. He hears me. He gets mad because he goes, "You better not be up on that railing. You'll break your neck,"
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, "Dad, they took it all. It's all gone. They took it all." And he's like, whoa, calm down, calm down. So my dad comes out, and he's looking. He's like, "Well, I'll be damned, whatever." And I run right up to the pole, and I start looking, and I notice something with this pole. You can see where something had grabbed it in multiple locations on this pole. But what was really super cool about this is that you could tell that one of them had taken its finger, and as high up as it could reach, it just dragged its finger all the way down and then wiped the grease off on the railing.
Oh, wow.
And I go, "Dad, look at this, look at this, look at this." And he's like, "Listen, you don't say a word to your brother about this. Do not. I do not need your brother scared. Just don't." And so, I'm like, "Okay, but I want to tell my brother about this stuff." You're asking me to hold like a national secret. And and I'm 12 years old. My brother's 10. He's my best friend in the world. He's got to know.
Mm-hmm.
But when my dad said not to do something, he didn't do it. So fast forward, now we're in summer. I remember it was a Saturday because my dad was supposed to take us fishing. But he got notified on Friday before he left work that he had to do inventory the next day. So that blew away his Saturday. So me and my brother, we got the door open. We got speakers outside. We're playing music. I'm doing something again I'm not supposed to be doing. I'm playing my dad's vinyls. Like his old
Right.
his old Zeppelin, his old Beatles, things like that. And we're cranking it. We're just having a good time. My brother's playing Atari 2600. And it's probably around 4:30 in the afternoon. And I hear my dad pull up. And he slammed his car door, which means he was mad. My dad never slammed his car door. Never. And I hear him come trucking up on the deck, and he's mad. He's like, Daniel, get out of here right now. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of walk out. I go, what's going on? He's like, what's up with the burn barrel? Because back then we had to burn our trash. We didn't have any, any local trash pickup. And I go, what are you talking about? I didn't burn any trash today. He goes, well, do you want to tell me what happened to the trash barrel? I go, I don't know. And I'm starting being a smart ass to my dad.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know what happened to the burn barrel. He goes, come here. Now he's like gritting his teeth. And now I know he's like, I'm like this close to getting slapped.
Right.
And so I fought. And my dad, when he starts moving, he moves with a quickness about him. And that's what he was doing. And I'm like, oh man, he is so mad at me for something. And I don't know what I did. So I go around. Now the burn barrel was close to that tree.
Mm-hmm.
That what I believe I saw was a Sasquatch that first time. It was close to that tree that it walked under. And so I come around the front of the camper, the fifth wheel, and I go, where's the burn barrel? And my dad's like, that's what I'm trying to find out. What'd you do with it? I go, Dad, I don't even weigh 100 pounds. That's a 55-gallon drum, and you had put 40 pounds of sand on the bottom so it didn't blow over when we had a bad windstorm or something. How do I know what happened to it? He's like, boy, I'm telling you. He goes, well, it just didn't get up and walk away on its own. I go, well, apparently it did because I don't know what happened to it. He's like, well, are you going to help me find it? I go, yeah, I'll help you find it. So he goes walking off towards the back part of the camper. And for whatever reason, something pulled me to walk into the woods. I got about 30 feet into the woods. And guess what I found? Laying on its side, a burn barrel. The burn barrel did not look like it was someone picked it up and walked it in there. It looks like someone had picked it up and threw it in there.
Wow.
And so I go, Dad, guess what I found? He's like, I don't know what, Daniel. What'd you find? I go, I found the burn barrel. He's like, well, what's it doing in there? And I go, well, I don't know. And now my dad he's done with the whole situation. So him and I, we roll the burn barrel over, put it back to where it's at, and he goes into goes back into the shed. And I've assumed that he was looking to see if he had any more sand in there, but he didn't.
Right.
And so he's like, look, I go, Dad, I'm telling you, it was that Bigfoot. That damn Bigfoot threw that burn barrel in there for whatever reason. He's like, listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. You just don't tell your brother. And before anything had happened, my brother's there because he heard me yelling at my dad. He heard my dad yelling at me. He goes, tell me what? And before my dad could say anything and before I could realize what my mouth was saying, I said, Bigfoot took the burn barrel and threw it in the woods. And
that just came out, right?
It just came out. And the minute I said Bigfoot threw it in the woods, my dad smacked me. And I knew, he got me right in the back head. Right? And my brother just very calmly, very stone-faced goes, I don't think it was one of the two smaller ones that I've seen.
What?
And exactly, we said exactly what you said, how you said it, but not laughing.
Right.
And we're like, what are you talking about? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, when we're out here cooking out, or we're out here eating, or we're out here playing games and listening to music, he goes, they come over, I'll show you. And he pointed to where they usually sit. And it's like it's not quite the corner. So part of the property, or the clearing, the edge of the wood would go this way, and then it would kind of round this way, right? And the other part would come over here. Right just past that little round part, they would sit there because there was a pretty thick clump of trees right there.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, they'll sit right in there and they'll listen. And then sometimes they get bored and they'll leave. Sometimes we come in and they'll leave. I see them come in every once in a while. And he goes, I've thrown tennis balls and baseballs out there hoping that they'd want to, throw them back at me if they're out there. And he goes, but they never do. They just take them. And I go, what do you mean they just take them? He goes, I went out there after I thrown them and I didn't see them come back for a couple of days. And I go out there and they're gone. I can't find them. And, he said we built a treehouse. And he said one time he was going out to the treehouse. Now, the treehouse, if you went into the woods, you'd walk in, I don't know how many, maybe 5-10 yards. And then there was like a path already that was there, kind of. And we'd go around, we went right next to this big, giant old stump that had huckleberry bushes grown out of it. And then just past that, there was this clump of trees. And we built this tree house up like 10, 15 feet up in the air. And he said he just got around that little turn, right past the huckleberries. And he saw one of the younger ones jump out of our tree house. And it seems like there was like no plant the landing and then take off running. He jumped and just was running just as he hit the ground, boom, and just and took off into the woods. And he said he just stopped for a second. He turned around and he came back to the house. Now, we both have had feelings when we were going out to that treehouse.
Right.
Like, we'd get just inside the woods, maybe a couple yards, and we'd both look at each other and be like, yeah, let's go back to the house and play Atari or something like that. We had a mini bike. We had a 2-seater go-kart that we would ride up and down this dirt road. And there'd be times when my brother's riding the go-kart with me, he'd go, there she is, there she is, there she is. Like, he'd seen the female as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of whip my head back around real quick, and I just see like something like a shoulder or something move back into the trees as we whip by. I honestly believe that it was a family unit that was out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Dano. So, you know how we were going to talk about 2 other topics on this? Yeah, we're going to talk about this. You really short sell that experience, man. What that is an incredible story. Like, you downplayed that at the beginning, like when we were talking. I was like, okay, yeah, but like that is amazing, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I am legitimately right now like awestruck and like blown away. I've got like so many things I want to just bounce around in my head, man.
We were out there for about a year, maybe a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And what really sucks is October 25th of 1985, my dad was, and I'll never forget that day because my dad was almost killed in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he was able to convince somebody that stopped to see if he was okay to take him to work because he was on his way to work. And when he got to work, they were like, what happened? Oh, I was in a car, I wrecked my car. And they're like, you need to go to the hospital. But he goes, I need to call my boys. So he thought for the person to take me to work so I call my boys. So here, it's like 4 something in the morning. The phone rings. It's my dad. Daniel, listen, I was in a bad car accident. The car's totaled. I'm going to the hospital. I'm at work right now. Your aunt's going to come and pick you up. Just have your stuff ready. And, we're going to be staying in Tacoma for a while. So grab what you want, and then we'll come back later and get stuff. So I told my little brother what happened. He told me I was lying. I convinced him that I wasn't lying. And we started packing up. And I packed up pretty much everything I wanted. I didn't have a lot of stuff, I didn't grow up a very wealthy person. Everything I had, I was a very minimalist.
Right.
So I just grabbed what clothes I had. If I had a couple little keepsakes. I take those, my radio, stuff like that. I grab my dad's records and things like that. And my aunt showed up, picked us up, and we didn't see that place until the following spring, because of the accident. My dad couldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what he was getting paid for like workers' comp or whatever he was getting, how he was getting paid, it wasn't enough to keep the land. So he lost the land, sold the fifth wheel, and we went out there to clean out anything and everything we wanted because the people who bought the fifth wheel were gonna move it off the property because the new property owners wanted it off of there. When we got there, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking everywhere, hoping I could see them, one last time, even if it was like a glimpse.
Right.
What I noticed was I saw prints on the windows that were like this. Like they were there trying to look in through the curtains to see if we were there. Because here we are one day, and the next day, and then the next day, then the next month, we're not there anymore. And it looked like they were looking in. And what was really, it could have been anybody looking in.
Right.
But what was really odd was the windows that were up in the loft area. Either you got to be extremely tall to look in those windows or have a ladder.
Right.
And so that was the last time that I laid eyes on that property. I did a Google Earth of it. It's not like built up like shopping malls and stuff like that, but a lot more houses are built up in that area. And the area that where our place was, there's almost no woods around there anymore. So
wow. That is an amazing story, Dano. That is amazing, bro. That is freaking amazing, man. I'm sitting here just in dumbfounded. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, man. But like, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So knowing what we know now, when these cryptid investigations that we've gone through, like I said, we've got firm libraries. 100%, man. There was some type of you were like a little family unit that you had came across up there, right? And again, the Enigmites, when he says Patty, he's referring to the Patterson-Gilman film. We did an episode on that. It's in the EnigmaCast archives. She was actually a female Bigfoot as well. And so during the film analysis, people said that she was actually leading Patterson and Gilmore away from her little young one. She was just, she made herself be seen. So that's a theory that was going around. And on top of that, another thing that stood out. You got me all twisted up here, man. Another thing that stood out in that story is, man, you heard some samurai chatter too when they were up against your window there. I mean, like I literally just did a Sierra Sounds video a couple weeks ago. Man, that is awesome, dude. Yeah, it's an amazing story, man. That's really an amazing story. I mean, I can understand where you were terrified and excited at the exact same time. So,
when I saw the Patterson-Gilman film, okay, when you're 10, 11, 12 years old and you go in, you get library time.
Mm-hmm.
When you're that age, you're looking at stuff like sharks, spiders, and sports and cars and things like that. I was looking for like stuff about Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. And
I asked the librarian, I go, do you have anything that's like, that monster that they saw in California, they call it, I don't know what the name of it is, like the Gimler guy or something like this. She's like, oh, so you mean like Bigfoot? And I'm like, that's the first time,
right.
that I had heard, and she shows me this one book, and it had like the Loch Ness Monster in it, had some other cryptids in it, but they had a whole like chapter on Bigfoot. That book never fell into the hands of another student at that school while I was there, because I checked it out and I turned it in and I check it right back out.
Right.
And I would read that and read that and read that. So that's what really got my, my curiosity flowing about it. And then here I am seeing this creature like 2 years later.
No, that's amazing, man. Yeah. So as a question I bring on when we haven't done a Bigfoot deep dive like this in a hot minute, man. So this question I always bring on to people is based on the knowledge that you've gained now from running your own show and doing interviews. What do you think they are? What do you think they are?
Again, this is my opinion.
Mhm.
I think they're a relic hominid. I think that they, some people say, well, it's a undiscovered North American great ape,
Mhm.
which I'm not going to throw that out of the realm of possibility. I think they're flesh and blood. Other people believe more of the woo,
Right.
that they are an interdimensional being, or they're an alien of some kind, or they are a host for an alien. I've heard that theory before, that there's actually a little alien that like it lives in their head or something like that, and they use them as a vessel to move around the woods and things. I don't know how true that is, but what I saw was flesh and blood.
Right.
But in this whole thing with, I've seen a UFO take off. I've seen a UFO drop a Bigfoot off. I've seen one walk out of a UFO. This category of cryptids is so wide open.
Yeah.
Anything is possible with them. But everything that I've experienced has been 100% flesh and blood. Like, what's going to untie your boot when you're sitting up in a deer stand when you're 7 years old?
Yeah. So
that happened to me.
Yeah. Oh, it did.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was my very first encounter.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Where did that take place at, if you don't mind, Dano?
Like northeast of Aberdeen, Washington.
Aberdeen, Washington, right? So there's I'm going to introduce you to some of my friends after. I'm going to blast an email out. Some of my friends I would like to introduce you to let you guys have some conversations, man. One of these guys is, it's two of the guys. One of them comes to mind immediately is I was just talking today is Harley Owens. He's a Bigfoot researcher out of East Tennessee.
Harley's my buddy. I know Harley personally.
You know Harley? So yeah, so I was literally just sending Harley some information. We were talking right before I came on down here. And so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Harley has an unusual frequency of encountering things, man. And he's also a crazy Nephilim blood type, something EO negative, whatever, man. Something like extremely rare blood type. Do you know what your blood type is? Just
A negative.
A negative on that. So yeah,
yep.
So yeah, man. So that is like he has a lot of he has had a lot of, you know, encounters as well. In fact, he's in, I don't want to put his business out there. He's actually in Pennsylvania. He's in Pennsylvania right now, and he's on a Bigfoot hunt. He was asking me some information about some areas. But man, why do you think it is that you have those? What do you think there's anything special about you personally, or you just talk about right place, right time? Because most people go their whole lives and get a cast, maybe, and they're looking, right? And it seems to me that you're not even looking.
Yeah.
And like these things flow into your life.
I don't think I'm anything special, man. Honestly, some people say I am. I believe I'm sensitive to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
I've had way more paranormal encounters than I've had cryptid encounters. Like, and it's for every one cryptid encounter I've had, I've probably had 10 or 15 paranormal encounters. Yeah, I think it's just, I think I'm at the right place, right time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, but I grew up, I don't know if you think I look my age, I'm almost 54 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And being the product of a broken home,
right.
You know, I was given the opportunity to go out and just explore everything around me. I had parents that I knew they cared, but they cared about other things a little bit more. So I was left to my own, you know, my own devices. And so I hiked, I camped, I explored. I probably caused trouble when I shouldn't have caused trouble. And again, I also had a dad who was a very avid outdoorsman, grew up in Alaska, and would want, when we did things out in the woods. We did things out on the lake. We did things out in the bay. We did fishing. He'd take me hunting, even though that I've never hunted with my dad. My very, very first encounter that I realized 30 plus years later that it was an actual encounter is he wanted to take me hunting. and wanted me to sit up in a deer stand with him. So me, him, and my uncle, his brother, we went out to this place in Aberdeen called we called it the hunting camp. And the first day we got there, we set up camp. He walked me probably about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile out down this path and up this little like hillside. And there was a single tree that had a deer stand in it, and two game trails intersected about 20 feet in front of this deer stand. And he explained to me where they're coming from, why they use this, why does this trail go this way and this. And he's telling me all this type of stuff. The next day we got up. It wasn't like 0 dark 30. There was a little bit of light coming up, so you can kind of see your way. We didn't need flashlights to walk out to the deer stand. We get up there. I'm like 7 years old. I'm sitting on the left side of the deer stand, and my dad's looking through his knapsack, and this is where he's using the flashlight. And he's like, he goes, I forgot something. He goes, listen, stay here. There's nothing out here that's going to hurt you. Everything is completely fine. All right. I'm going to run right back down to camp. I'm going to grab what I need, and I'll be right back. Okay. Now, a lot of people are like, oh my God, that man, like a 7-year-old boy up in the, this was 1979.
Right.
What were seatbelts? My dad had a car with a huge back, like dash window. I used to lay up in that back window while we were driving 70 miles an hour down the road. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm sitting up in this deer stand, and I'm not scared. I'm bored. And I hear the stream, but as I look back and I think about it, that's all I heard was the stream. And listening to the sound of that stream started making me a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of crossed my legs. I had my legs kind of stretched out, and I put my hands like this, and I just kind of go like that. And everybody at one point in their time has like jerked themselves awake.
Correct.
Right? That's what happened to me. And I'm like, oh. And so I go and I move my foot, and I notice something. My left boot lace is untied. And I'm like, oh, I must have caught it on this homemade deer stand. So I go and I tie my boot again, and I'm sitting there, it's getting a little lighter. You can starting to see more detail and stuff. And again, the rhythm sound of that stream just hit me again. Started nodding off, and as soon as my head went down, I jerk again. But this time it was more my leg than anything. And I look down, and I'll be darned if my boot is not untied again. And I go, Dad? Now we're like 10, maybe 12, 15 feet up in the air in this deer stand. My dad's 5'7". Okay. But I'm 7 years old. I'm not computing that.
Right.
Like, Dad, that's not funny. Right. Yeah. So I go and I tie my boot again. And now I'm sitting there, and I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking, and it gets lighter. It's getting lighter. And I hear this loud crack, like maybe 20, 30 feet off to my right-hand side. I mean, it's loud. And I look over real quick to my right to see what that noise was. And I feel my boot jerk again. And I look down, and my boot's untied a third time. And I jump up, and I'm standing up, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm screaming because I think my dad's up there messing with me, or my uncle. And I look over, and I can see my dad literally sprinting up this trail. He's got his rifle like this, and he's running with his rifle, and he's like, shut the F up. If you want to see a deer, you need to shut up. I go, stop untying my boot. And I'm like screaming at my dad. And he's like, whoa. He's like, son, what? I go, Dad, you're not funny. You're scaring me. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go home right now. And he's like, what's happening? I go, you untied my boot. You made a noise and you untied my boot. He's like, whoa, buddy, calm down. Calm down. What happened? So I told him, and he's like, okay. So he walks behind the deer stand, and behind the deer stand, there's like a clearing. And again, I'm just going to throw a number because I'm not sure it's 100% accurate how wide or how far it was from the deer stand to the tree line. Maybe 50 yards, if that. And it was just a huge, like clear, like little, like not a like a meadow, but it just had like a bunch of weeds and stuff in it. And so he starts walking behind it. I'm standing up, I'm hugging the tree, and I'm looking off to the side so I can watch my dad. And he starts walking out into this little field area, and he bends down and he kind of touches something. He's kind of looking, and he looks right up at the tree line. He looks right at the tree line. He kind of gets up. He had shouldered his rifle. Well, he takes his rifle off of his shoulder and he starts walking up, and he stops. And it was a lever action 30-30, racked around, and now he's got it at the ready. And he walks up a little bit closer. He's probably maybe 25, 30 feet now from the tree line. And now he starts scanning left and right to left with his rifle at the ready, like he's ready to shoot. And all of a sudden he just stops and he looks for a second and he slowly starts backing up. And he goes, "Daniel, get out of the tree right now." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Get out of the effing tree right now." And like, he's dead serious. My dad's a Vietnam vet. He served 2 tours in Vietnam. He used to walk point when he'd go out on patrols. He was a tunnel rat, EOD, that type of stuff. So his senses were very, very keen. And he, again, cussed at me, told me get out of the effing tree, out of the stand, and run back to camp. That he'd be right behind me. And so, again, at this age, Bigfoot is not even a thing.
Right.
It does not exist. Not in my world. Not in my vocabulary. I didn't even know what Patterson-Gimlin was, right? So I start running down the pathways, but I don't hear my dad coming. So I stop. Is my dad still there? And I look, and he sees me, and "I told you," and he's like flipping out on me. So I start running down again. I hear my dad running, and then I hear him stop. Well, then I stopped and turned around. I'm looking at my dad, see what he's doing, and he's like this, and he's just watching behind us. He turns around, and he sees me standing, and we played this little cat and mouse game probably 2 or 3 more times before we both were at a dead run going down this hill, down this pathway.
Wow. Yeah.
We come flying into camp, and we see my uncle come walking out of the tent. And my dad runs right up to him. He's like, "Daryl, what the F are you doing? You're up there messing with Daniel." And my uncle's like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" He goes, "I just got back into camp." He goes, "Bud, it's going to be a warm day. Nothing is going to be out and about moving in the day. They're going to stay bedded down, and when it cools down, that's when they're going to come up." And all I heard my dad say was, "Listen, we got to pack up, and we need to get the F out of here right now." So they packed everything up, and my uncle's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" "I'll tell you later." So everybody packs, all 3 of us pack our stuff up, and we leave. We hike back out. We go back to the logging road that we parked on, and we left. Wow. Now, at the time, did I know what my dad saw? Did I know what my dad heard? No, I didn't. It wasn't until years later, like when I was an adult. Mm-hmm. And I go, "Dad, remember that one time out at the hunting camp when you took me up and to teach me hunting?" He's like, "Yep." And now this is already after we had already seen the Sasquatch and things like that. And this is after I had already kind of been checking things out and realizing that certain things have to have certain parts on our body, opposable thumbs, to untie things. And I go, "Dad," I said, "when I was little, I thought it was like maybe a bear or like a mountain lion." I go, "What was it?" I go, "What did you see?" He's like, "I didn't see anything." He's like, "It's what I heard." He goes, "I got up to that tree line, and I heard this growl, this deep, deep growl." And he goes, "I knew that was not a bear, and I knew that was not a mountain lion." And I did the smart thing. I picked up the hint, and I slowly backed out. And that's what that was. Now, we had another encounter there, but that's even a longer story. So,
you're gonna have to come back and tell that story, man. Wow, Dano. Wow. that is an amazing two stories right there, man, that you brought out there. They're bringing into it. Coming up on time, man, but wow. Dano, that's it. I'm at a loss of words, man. Those are actually two very amazing encounters, man. I want to thank you for sharing those with the channel, and also sharing your thoughts on what you thought they are. I know that the camps are split. You know, a lot of people think they're spiritual, a lot of people think they're physical. I think there's a mixture of all of them in there, especially when you get into some of the ones down in Oklahoma, the mean ones that are supposedly, you know, cannibalistic during the siege of, you know, Hanobia and the Choctaw Wars down there. So anyways, that's a good place for us to start. Dano, I want you to come back, man. I want to pick it up. I want to do some more deeper divers into to your encounters on that, man. So let me give you, so you're on the hook. All right. So,
all right.
Wow. One more time, Dano, tell everybody where they can find you as we wrap this up real quick here.
You guys can find me on YouTube and Spotify. My schedule for YouTube is Monday through Friday, 6:45 to 7:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. I do a live stream before I start work. I call it Coffee with Dano. So consider jumping in and just, we talk about cryptids, but it's more of just kind of getting everybody's day going, trying to spread some positive messages and try to get people, you know, to kind of, if, you know, you're not happy about your job or whatever, you know, a lot of people aren't happy about their jobs, but hey, just kind of give you some positive energy to kind of get in there and get it going. Every Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, I drop a new episode, drop new content. And then on every Saturday night, 7:30 Central Standard Time, 7:30 p.m., I do a live stream where I talk about a cryptid, a group of cryptids, or a specific encounter. We covered the Whitehall, New York, A-Bear Road incident that happened in 1976. Amazing, very well documented encounter. And then every once in a while, I'll jump on after, say, an interview or my live stream on Saturdays, and I do what I call night chatter. And it's just getting on and just, again, talking about how the live stream went. What are people's thoughts? What should I talk about next Saturday and things like that. So, and if any of your listeners would like to participate, shoot me an email at the Cryptid Podcast 72@gmail.com. If you've had an encounter, you'd like to come on my show, I'd greatly appreciate an email. And if you like what you see, like what you hear, consider subscribing to the channel.
That's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, Dano, this has been an amazing conversation. All that stuff will be in the comments down there. Enigmites, you know how we do around here at this time. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. If you want to give us a thumbs down, go ahead, but let us know why you give us a thumbs down. So, yeah. And if you got any questions for Dano or anybody else, leave them in the comments there. Go give his channel a follow. I'm going to be following his channel. I'm going to be following his work more closely. Dano, I appreciate you so much for coming on the show, man. I can't wait to have you on again.
Sure, man.
Yep. And you know how we do around here, nerds? That's all you get for $1. And we're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.